Welcome back to Thunderscape. Okay, let's start a new game. Before the really loud thunder noises disturb us anymore. As you step from the dock, a massive Farron approaches you. A grim scowl covers his rhinoceros face, and a determined stride drives his tree-sized legs.
It is good you have come, heroes. I am Heroes. The Knights of the Radiant Order instructed me to deliver this message to you. It explains Skelon's shield better than I can. The Knights of the Radiant Order cannot long hold off the host of Nocturnals. If you cannot get Skelon's shield raised, the Northlands will be crushed. I envy the Knights their chance to face death honorably. I was captain of the guard at Vanguard Keep when it fell to the Dark One. By my own foolish mishap I survived, to my eternal shame. This is a burden on your honorable name, but I must ask, allow me to return to Vanguard Keep with you. I am of no use here, and death at my enemy's hand will redeem my shame. Will you allow this?
Okay, so this is one of the features of this game is that occasionally you will run into these NPC characters and who offer to join your team, and especially if you still have available slots indicated by the skull symbols on the character bar down here. You can then definitely take, and you can take new members, and even if your team is full you can still take members, but the game will then force you to basically drop one of your existing characters. Now Theros here, as you said, he was a um, he was a captain of the guard in Vanguard Keep, which is one of the sort of castles or strongholds. It was held by the Radiant Order, not the knights who were responsible for maintaining this magical shield. And basically, when the Nocturnals attacked, he had to escape. Well, he chose to escape, but now he feels guilty and basically suicidal enough that he can join your team and basically, if necessary, sacrifice his life for the common good and whatnot. And of course, it's definitely a good idea to bring him along, since, I mean, not only do you get an extra pair of hands, but Theros is also a fairly, relatively high level, fighter character, so he definitely brings some um, useful skills and abilities to your team. So let's let Theros join our team.
Your generosity is second only to your courage. I am honored. As soon as you are ready, we must leave. Vanguard Keep can only be entered through the dungeons now, so we must make our way through the troll caverns to the north.
Okay, and there is our first combat. And as you can see, the game mainly works in this kind of real-time, 3D environment, but as soon as enemies approach you, you enter in this like combat mode. So the combat itself is turn-based. And then for each character, you can then decide what kind of action that you want that character to take each round. So you have things like attack options. It opens a sub-menu of various attack styles, defense options. You have things like defensive attack, flee if you don't want to fight at all. You can just run away, and then a couple of other options which right at the moment they are they are not available for Gonkar here. Um, I mean, these options here, they depend on, of course, your character's individual skills and also on the types of weapon that the character is holding. And so let's just go and make a standard attack. Okay, enough with the thunder sounds. Okay, Delias. Also standard attack. In fact, we'll make everyone here do just a standard attack, including Theros. Oh, and another thing is, if you hover your cursor over an enemy and right click, you can see some statistics for the enemy. Now with our current skills, the only thing that we are able to identify is how many hit points they have, but once you get more skills, more information will be provided to you. Okay. Yeah. Konkar hits. Theros hits. And that's it. Christ. I mean, these thunder sounds, they are just, oh, I mean, I love the game, but sometimes there's sound effects in this game, and especially the way that he plays them, it's a little annoying. And if you crouch down here, you can see under the dock, there's a little key over here. Let's give our Gonkar the key. Oh, and this is the sort of inventory / character sheet menu, where you can see all the statistics for your characters, and then of course you can also check out the inventory, what they are carrying, status. This is basically if you're poisoned or have a disease or magical puffs, then those will be kind of listed in the status window here. Spells window, well, if a particular character knows any spells, then of course in here you can get a listing of all the spells that they know. Now, Konkar here, as I mentioned in the introduction, he's just basically a fighter guy, so the only skills that he's really good at are weapon skills, particularly he's good with swords, also knows a little bit about how to shoot a bow and whatnot, and then see secrets. So this is basically the skill that allows you to, let's say, automatically, or depending on, of course, the in-game internal dice rolls, it can allow your characters to detect things like secret doors, secret buttons, the kind of stuff like that. So, especially if you're not familiar with the game, if you don't know where all these secrets are, it's then definitely a good idea to have at least one character who is good seeing secrets. Now, the skills in this game, they don't go from 0 to 100, they go from about 0 to 1000. So 50 points in a skill might seem a fairly high skill, but it's not. I mean, it's still a very modest skill level, but they are, after all, just level 1 characters. Konkar, of course, you can see the basic stats. So he's a fighter, so he's got extremely high strength. You know, he's very healthy, very tough, and then rather dexterous, and about average in intelligence and willpower. Um, Basically, the way that this game works is that every time your characters level up, they get to assign skill points to their skills. You know, they get more skill points, and sort of the skills in this game, they are divided into two main categories. There are combat skills, and then there are non-combat skills. So things like see secrets, cast spells, picking locks, they are all considered non-combat skill, and then naturally every weapon skill is a combat skill. Now the way that it works is that every time you level up, you get a random number of skill points. Random number of skill points to your combat skills, and then another random number to your non-combat skills. And while it is random, it's still affected by these attributes that you have. And combat skills, they are affected by the dexterity stats. So the higher dexterity you have, the more potential you have to get more skill points to weapon skills. And intelligence is the sort of a governing attribute for gaining these non-combat skills. Okay, so Gonkar was the fighter guy. Delias, he's the healer. He's got, primarily uses axes and maces, and shields, but he also has a number of these non-combat skills, including cast spells. So if we look at the spell menu for him, he knows the spells heal and cure poison. And Philo, the wizard, as you can see, he's extremely intelligent, also extremely dexterous, which both kind of mean that in the long run, Philo is probably gonna be the one who gets the most amount of skill points among all these different skills. And Philo knows the spells Sleep, which, as the name suggests, has the potential to put an enemy to sleep. Mana Bolt, which is your basic attack spell. And Flash, which you can try to use to blind your enemies, and which then gives enemies penalties to hitting your team. And she mainly uses polearms. Turok, the Luck Rider, well, she's a rogue character, so she has fencing, firearms, martial arts, and whatnot. And oh yes, because this is basically a steampunk style, or steampunk high fantasy type of world, it also includes certain firearms like muskets and whatnot. So firearms is the skill to use those. And then, of course, all sorts of thiefly skills like picking locks and picking pockets, and whatnot. And as you can see, all the basic team members, they are level 1, and then the Theros, who we just picked up, he's level 5. And he's again a fighter type, so high strength, high health, and whatnot. and he's got very decent amount of weapon skills. So he's gonna be a good addition to our team. Okay, so you can kind of toggle crouch whenever you want. The arrow key over here is if you're holding a bow or a firearm. This arrow key opens the aiming cursor, which allows you to then attack from distance, and then this is the cast spells option. And here's a little hut over here, little house. Let's go and see what's inside. Ah, it's a shopkeeper. The shopkeeper turns to you with a wary eye.
Welcome, friends. My name is Finia. I hope I can serve your needs, but my store isn't stocked as it should be. Nocturnals, you understand, they put the pinch on any supply line. But feel free to examine my goods. You'll find them to be of excellent quality.
Okay, so this is the shop menu of the game. There are altogether 3 different shops throughout the game, and this is the first one. And arguably probably also the most important one because it's the first one you can go into, and it's right at the beginning of the game. Now, as you can see, the upper bar over here, it has these options. Buy. This is basically a toggle button, so when buying is toggled, then all the items that you see in here are the items that the shopkeeper is selling and that you can buy if you have the gold. And then if you kind of toggle the sell option, then all the items you see here are the items that your characters are carrying and that you can then sell to the shopkeeper for gold. So for instance, if we didn't want to have the short bow, we could sell it for 56 gold pieces. And then of course you have the steal option, so in case you want to try to steal something, but I would not suggest doing that. I mean, first of all, it won't be long in this game when money is absolutely not a problem for you. You'll have much more money than much more gold that you can even think about spending. So, and the only thing you can really do with the steal option is to make the shopkeeper angry and just lock out the shop entirely from you, so you can't use it at all. And then you have the identify option. So if you are basically, if you have items in your inventory and you want to know kind of the statistics of those items, you can use the identify option. But of course, as you can see right now, our team doesn't have any gold. And so if we try to click here, it's gonna just say that sorry, you don't have the 50 gold required to identify the items. That's how much it costs to identify an item that your team is carrying. However, if you want to identify items that the shopkeeper has, then that's free. So for instance, if we want to see the statistics of this claymore, we can click identify it, and this is the kind of screen that you get. So now of course it tells the value of the item, it requires what kind of skill it uses. So in this case, claymores use sword skill. What is the maximum damage, and then what is the minimum strength, and then how much and what type of damage does the weapon do. So in this case, 3 to 18 cutting damage. Requires strength 15, so this is the minimum strength you need to use the weapon effectively. And maximum damage is how much the weapon will do at most. The way that damage in this game is calculated is that basically whenever you hit with the weapon, it's gonna do the random roll of the damage. But then, depending on your character's strength, uh, it's going to apply a modifier to that damage. Basically meaning that if your character doesn't meet the strength requirement, and so his strength is less than the required strength, then the difference of those two values is the penalty to the damage. So it's like this damage minus the difference. Whereas if your character has more strength than the minimum strength, then all those extra points will be calculated as bonus damage. But then the maximum damage here, this is kind of the upper limit, so regardless of how strong your character is, even if your character had the strength of, I don't know, 100, this weapon would still not do any more than 25 points of damage per hit. And okay, so now because we don't actually have any gold with us, we can't buy anything here, so I think we can just leave the shop for now and come back later.
Good luck, and may virtue drive back the darkness.
Thank you. Okay. And oh, there's a little rock. A fragment moss covers the small stone. Yeah, let's take the rock. For no apparent reason. It's a little bridge. Let's see what happens if we try to cross the bridge. Oh, the bridge trembles beneath your feet as a troll lumbers up from under it, his hands clenched into boulder-like fists.
Who's on my bridge? You the squishy that stole my club?
Oh, okay. So now we get an option. Do you want to just tell him that we'll find his club and leave? Or do you want to offer him a rock instead? You know what, well, we could tell him that we'll go and find his club, but let's see. There's actually something quite funny that happens if you give him the rock. So, okay.
Tastes good. You nice squishy. Bird's friend. I come with you, huh?
Yeah, so he actually enjoyed the rock and he ate it. And now he likes us, so he wants to come along. And again, Bird is also a really good companion to have, especially at the kind of beginning of the game. When your normal team members they are weak, so you can have characters like Theros and then Bird join you who are a bit higher level and stronger. So yeah, let's have Bird.
Squishy's safe now. I keep them safe.
And yeah, let's have a look at Bird's stats here. So strength 30. So massive strength. I mean, he's just super strong. But dexterity 7, intelligence 5. Which, of course, right now, it doesn't really matter, but in the long run, of course, because those attributes they do affect the amount of skills that you accumulate. So, yeah, in the long run, Bird is not going to level his skills very fast. But right now, Yeah, we'll just have him on our team. And, well, that's actually a first little taste of Thunderscape here. So I think for now, we'll just save the game. Save the game and then, just, well, I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye.